Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards and today's video is going to be focusing on switch and play. But before we get into today's session, make sure to give us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's session, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to be looking at a passing sequence so that we're getting the players up to the intensity levels that we want. They're moving the ball quickly, they're getting lots of movements off the ball. But before we get into that, we're going to look at how many players we've got this week and the equipment that we need. So we've got 12 players this week, but we can adapt that to more or less players. So in the first part of this week's session, we're splitting the players into two groups of 6 for the passing sequence. So we've always got one person spare. So when the ball's moving and the players are moving, we've always got one person at the start. So we can keep it flowing really, and we can move the ball quickly. In terms of the setup for this part of the session, we've got a 20 by 20 box on the outside with then one cone in the middle, right in the middle of the centre, so 10 yards. So we've got the opportunity to then play in and play out, which is what we're looking to do. And then in terms of the rest of the equipment, all we need this week is bibs, balls and cones. So pretty simple. If you don't have 2 sets of bibs, you can just have 1 set of bibs and 1 team non-bibs. But when we go into 3 teams, we will need at least 2 sets of bibs, and then you can have a non-bibs team around that. So getting into the first part of this week's session, like I say, we're going to be looking at a passing sequence. So the ball's going to start here on the outside. We're going to be playing in and we're trying to receive on the back foot. So we spoke last week about our receiving skills. There are lots of movement to receive, our first touch being so important, and then communication to ask for the ball. So we're going to be playing into the player in the middle. We want them to receive this side of the cone, to then take the touch on the outside, to then play into the player out here. After this player's played the pass, they will follow their pass. And the player in the middle here, this is when they will do their movement out to here. Then this player out here will take a touch outside again, receiving on the back foot, nice touch in front to move on to, and then play the ball to the person down the line. What we're looking from this person here is to get movement to receive on the outside, so that when it comes in, they're playing straight into the player in the middle, first time. Then the player in the middle is going to play a first time 1-2 back for the player to run onto. And then once this player's got the ball in here, they can either take a touch or it be 1 touch, and the player out here will then pull out wide to receive the ball on the run to then play back through to the start. So the player in the middle here, once they've made their movement from the start into the middle, they're focusing on getting the ball over here. So they've got to be concentrating and knowing when the ball's travelling, not being in there too early, but also not arriving too late. In terms of a progression for this part of the session, we can work in a different direction so that we're testing both feet for the players to pass and receive with. So if the players are all right-footed, they might be able to do this part earlier or easier, and if the same with the left-footed, they might be able to, but when they're going the other way, they've got to use both feet. So they're working on both feet in terms of the touches, because they can't just use 1 foot all the time in a game. And also you can make it all 1 touch, which emphasises a lot on the movements to receive the ball. They've got to be in the right position because they can't take a touch. They need to have a body position opened out already, so they know that where the next pass is going to be. So if a team is pressing us and we need to play quickly, we've got that ability to play first time. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to the next part of this week's session. Okay, so moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're moving into more of a possession-based, small-sided game for switch and play. So now we've got 3 teams of 4. So we've got 1 team in the corner zones here. So the setup for this part of the session is a 30 by 30 box with 4 5 by 5 boxes in the middle, just off the back line, so that players can still move into here to receive the ball, so they can open out and still use these players, because if they were all the way back, they'd have to receive in front, which isn't very realistic at all times. So the players on the outside will swap with a team in the middle every few minutes. So the aim of the game is for the team in the middle, in order to switch play, is to be playing in with the yellows on the outside, manoeuvring the ball nice and quickly to create space to then play out to the other one, to one of the other yellows. To score a goal, it must be switched diagonally. So if you're playing to this person here, then a diagonal switch is here, and if you're playing to this person here, diagonal switch is there. The players can keep the ball with the yellows for as long as they want. So a red here might receive the ball from this yellow, open out, play into a teammate here, who then plays into there. That's fine. It's just not a goal because we haven't switched the play. We're looking to obviously do it diagonally, because then what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the ball from one side of the pitch, creating space, beating a press, beating a team trying to come at us and win the ball, getting it into space, nice and quick, and then playing through. So that's how we've switched the play and played forward. So we want to try and tell the players to limit the touches, really, because when we're trying to move the ball quickly, obviously, if we're taking too many touches, it entices the opposition to come and press us, to come and try and win the ball. But if we're moving the ball quickly, it's hard for them to move and to mark our movements as well. So we're looking at shapes for this part of the session. So we're looking at our triangles, we're looking at our diamonds. So if you look here, we've created a diamond around the ball here using the players in the zones. We've also got triangles to play out and another diamond as well. So you can have triangles in the middle, but you're also going to have the diamonds on the outside as well. What we'd like to see from the players in the middle is when they do receive it from the players on the outside, can they play one or two quick passes to then play out, not just having to use the players on the outside all the time? Can they have a bit of emphasis on themselves, take a bit of responsibility, maybe play in, play out 1, 2, 3, get it wide, and then play through. We will now move into our next animation before looking at this week's 4-corner model. Moving into this week's 4-corner model, so a lot of it is based on our receiving skills last week in the technical and tactical side of the game, but we're also bringing in things like the execution of our passes. So we need to make sure that our passes are going to feet, or they're going just in front of the players to run onto. But that comes into the communication side of the game as well. So where does the player want the ball? Where does the player want to receive it? So our execution of passes has got to be really good. It needs to be fast, fizzed in, so the players can take a nice first touch and open out, and it's got to be with a good amount of speed and power so that the opposition can't intercept it, and we keep the ball fast moving, so it's harder for them to try and intercept. Our receiving skills, what we talked about last week in terms of opening our body out to where the ball's coming from, to where we want it to play, especially when we're opening out. We can't have a closed body because we're enticing the opposition to come in and press us. It makes it a lot easier for them if we are just showing the ball one way all the time ourselves, so they know exactly where the pass is going to go, exactly where they can intercept, and then they can try and punish us then if they win the ball, if it is high up the pitch. Our first touch then is vitally important, so we need to make sure that we're looking where the ball's coming from, where the players are. So in relation to the ball, where's my first touch going to be? If a player is closing me down on my left side and the space on the right, what's my body position going to be? And where am I going to take my touch? I'm going to take it away from the player to then look to play forwards down the line. Scanning our surroundings again, so making sure that we're looking at the space around us, not all vacating the same space. Once we've been in a space for a couple of seconds, moving somewhere else so another player can vacate that space, and you're also keeping the opposition thinking and moving. If the opposition has to take a look around their shoulder for a second, that means they're not focusing completely on the ball, so you're distracting them and you're making it a bit easier for one of your players to maybe receive the ball. And then finally, in the technical and tactical side this week, is moving the ball quickly. The quicker we move the ball, the harder it is for the opposition to defend and to try and intercept passes. If we're moving the ball slowly, it's easy for them to cover ground quickly, to get across and to restrict the space. But if we're moving the ball quickly, they've got to turn a lot quicker, and it's harder to cover that ground and to mark and to stop all the passing lanes as well. So the psychological corner this week, main focus is decision making of our passes, when to play them, when to take a touch, where to play the passes. Are you playing it into a right area? Is a player marked? Is a player in space? Are they going to have to play quickly? Have they got enough options when they're receiving the ball? So making sure before we pass the ball that we know exactly that is the right pass to play. And also that we're not chewing the ball too much, not taking too many touches. We are moving the ball quickly, so it is a lot on scanning our surroundings, looking at the space, and then obviously with our first touch in relation to where the ball is, where the ball's travelling to, and then obviously where the opposition is as well. Confidence. So having the confidence to receive the ball in these tight areas because you're a good technical player And you want to enforce that to the players as well. So making sure that you're letting the players know that you believe that they can do this drill, that they can do this on a Saturday as well. So when teams are pressing them on a Saturday, when teams are really trying to get right up nice and close in behind to pressure the players, that they have the confidence to play first time, a nice ball to the centre-back, or to switching it to the full-back, or they've got the ability to take a touch on the back foot and then play forward. Not rushing, not panicking, playing a ball which they don't think that they can play. And then if the Russian passes as well, we're not getting that good execution. So make sure we're always giving confidence to the players, even if they aren't making passes at first. If they're getting it in the right areas and receiving it, and then they're looking to do the right thing, then we're on the right track. And then spatial awareness, so obviously scanning our surroundings, trying to move into different spaces all the time, not vacating the same space, which is easy for players to mark, making sure that we're always looking where space is on the pitch, what players are going to receive it in there, so where can I go? So in relation to the ball again, so if the ball's on the left-hand side, where am I going to be? I'm not going to be too far away from the ball, but I don't want to clog up the space where the ball is as well. Moving into the physical corner for this week, looking at turning quickly, so our ABCs, agility, balance, coordination, making sure that we can keep hold of the ball and protecting the ball when there is pressure on us. So obviously that first touch again, having the ability to open out and play quickly. Making sure that we can work for a long distance as well, because if we're in the middle of that pitch and we're trying to keep possession for a long period of time, there's lots of different movements, it is quite intense, you've got to have a lot of endurance as well. And then powerful movements, so we're looking at our speed to get away from players with and without the ball. So when the ball comes, can we have that speed to take the touch away quickly, run onto the ball and play the pass, and then without the ball, coming in to receive, then going out to let somebody else come in and receive the ball. So we're always on the move, but we've got to recognise when to have them fast, powerful movements and when just to be moving about to preserve that energy to then do it on a constant basis. And then finally, our social corner. So we speak about it every week, communication. It's the biggest thing we've got to drill into the players, being able to communicate at training, so then on a match day they're doing it as well. So we just got to keep repeating the same things of a time, a manner when we're receiving balls, where does a player want a ball. So we've got to bring in different types of terminology for different types of sessions. So when we're switching play, making sure that we know where our players are on the pitch. Where do I want that player to receive the ball? When we don't have the ball, can we all get nice and tight to prevent the opposition any space? When we have got the ball, if you're moving out of a space, you're telling one of your teammates, if they haven't already switched onto it, go and vacate that space there. I've left that space for you to go into. So just little things to keep players on the toes as well, and also they need to communicate with each other on the pitch, which brings into the teamwork as well for this week. So obviously we are looking to be switching the ball quite a lot. So we need to be making sure that when the ball does switch, we're getting across as a team to where that ball's gone to. It's not just one player on their own. Working as a team to win the ball back as well. Working as a team to keep that ball moving for as long as we can, because we don't want to be defending. We want to be in possession of the ball at all times. Okay, so moving into the final part of this week's session, we're doing a small-sided game-based possession drill again on switch and play. So this time we've got a 5v5 in the middle with two neutral players on the outside. So we've got 3 gates each side which the neutral players can receive the ball in. The rule for this is that, so let's say we play into the Reds and the Reds play through the middle gate here. They're instantly going to look to keep the ball and try and switch play to the other side. They then can't go and play into the neutral player on this side in the same gate, so it's enforcing them to switch play over to other side. So then this player can maybe receive in this gate here, and then obviously we want to look to switch out again, so we can receive the ball, we can play nice in the middle of the pitch, we can get it out, and then we've got to run here to then play through. Once we've received in all 3 gates, we can just receive in any other one. So once we've received the ball in here, on this side, then we can receive in the middle gate or the end gate, and then obviously once this player's received it in this end gate here, we can receive back in these 2 again. So it's just, you can't receive in the same gate which was received on the previous side. So that's how we're going to try and score a goal. So what we're looking for again is intricate play in the middle of the pitch, lots of movements and quick passes when we get it to try and get the ball to the other side. So obviously when we have got the ball, we need to get a bit of width in here so that there's movement, there's ability for players to move in the middle of the pitch. So then one player might come short and one goes deep to receive the ball, and then this player can open out. They might be under pressure, so they play through nice and quick. We get a run from the outside here, and then we have our neutral player coming into middle to play. So we've played through nice, quickly and efficiently. We've kept the ball and we just want to keep that going for as long as we can. And then when we transition, can we get round the ball quickly to stop the opposition switch and play and playing through? So then what we're going to do with the neutral players is, after a couple of minutes, we're just going to change them. So these players aren't going to be in bibs, so they can just swap with one with the red and one with the blue each time. It's as simple as that. So obviously we're looking at switch and play this week. Why do we switch play? We switch play to find gaps, but really to penetrate. We switch play to find gaps to penetrate forward. So if we're keeping the ball on one side of the pitch too much, it gets congested, we start overplaying, and that's how teams can start pressing us in one area of the pitch and win the ball back. And then if we're spread out in our attacking formation, we've got our right back wide if the ball's on our left hand side, and our right centre back is pulling back so that we can receive space in the middle of the pitch. We're leaving a lot of gaps. Obviously, if we're overplaying on that one side, we lose the ball, we are in danger of a transition happening quickly because we're out of possession. Spaces in between the lines and in behind for the opposition to penetrate us. So we're switching play to move the opposition about as well, to make them tired. So if we're moving that ball in, back and to the side quickly, it's hard for the opposition to get up the pitch all the time, to shuffle and slide, and we will eventually find gaps. So we have got to be patient, we have got to wait for our chances, but we're keeping the ball, we're moving it quickly, we're doing the right things, we're doing the right themes, what we want to see in our attack and play. And when we find the gaps, can we play through to then go and penetrate the opposition? So you'll see the best teams in the world, like the Barcelonas, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, all when they have the ball, the patience in possession. They move the ball with the centre backs and the hold midfielder dropping in to then play out to the full backs, looking to link with the midfielders. The first option when they get it to them full backs is, can we go forward? When the midfielders get it, can we go forward? The first option you always look for is, with that first touch, is, can we play forward? If we can't play forward, we move the ball from side to side. As we get higher up the pitch, there's going to be less space to play in between the lines because teams are deploying more of a low block. But as the ball is in our defensive third, can we look for that penetrating pass, maybe out wide or through the lines from switch and play to then go and attack in the final third. So progression for this part of the drill is taking the two neutral players out and just making it a 6v6 in the middle. So what the difference is then is, instead of playing into a player in the gates, you're going to have somebody playing, running in to receive the ball. So it's movement to receive the ball in the gate. But the same rules will apply. So if we're playing into the Reds and the Reds play into here, they're then looking to secure possession and then go to the other side. But obviously they're not going to score a point if they receive in this gate here. So then what we're looking for, the Blues might come and press them. The Reds have got it out. They're playing in nice and quick. The Blues are trying to step up to win the ball. They leave a gap here. We play through. We get a run to take a man away, out wide, and then we have a player running through to receive the ball to play in, and then obviously that's a trigger for us to play forward then. So it could be that we've received it from the full back, played all the way through to the other side, and we've got it to the winger, or we've got it to the attacking midfielder, but we've got to be patient with it. So we're not trying to rush it, but we're trying to move the ball quickly to create those gaps through. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. For more content, follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. The links will be in the description below, and we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.